Good morning, everyone. I am Rohit from marketing team at Lead Group, India's largest school tech company. On behalf of Lead Group, I would like to welcome you all to the live webinar on how schools can help students ace competitive exams. Today, we have with us Samira Boinapalli. Thank you, Samira, for joining in.
Thank
Samira is an education enthusiast with 8+ years of experience in the fields of education and consulting with expertise in test prep. She is an IIM alumnus and has previously worked for renowned companies like Google, Deloitte, Unacademy, and education NGOs like Make a Difference. Samira is passionate about education as a tool to replace an empty mind with an open one. So, without further ado, I'd request Samira to please start with the session.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rohit. Uh, Thanks for hosting this session as well. So, everybody, good morning. I hope you're having a good Saturday. So, in the next 1 hour, we'll be spending time talking about competitive exams, right? And especially in schooling. So, I'm Samira. I'll be taking you through the next 1 hour. And of course, feel free to shoot your questions and express your opinions, and we'll have a healthy discussion in the next 1 hour, right? So, before going ahead, actually, before talking about this, you know that today what we're speaking about is as school leaders, how can we help our students in acing competitive exams, right? Competitive exams are the ones after class 12. And here we are talking about developing their skill set from, say, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, from the schooling up till grade 12, right? So when we have this, before I move into the talking about more things, I want to understand your where you are, your opinion about certain things. So, Rohit, can you serve the poll, please?
Yeah,
Yes,
it is launched.
great.
Audience, please interact with the poll and let us know your thoughts on should schools actively prepare students for competitive exams. We would love to know your opinion on this.
Yeah. So the session today is about how can schools help. But before into that, I want to understand what you think. If schools should really focus on this, if they shouldn't be getting into it, what do you think? If it's too early, anybody else? Any more participation? I see some of you all. Are you all able to see the poll? Is everybody able to see the poll and click on the answers? All right.
I'll just share the results of the poll with you. So you can see most of the answers are skewed towards, yeah, yes, the school must help students develop critical thinking, problem solving, and 21st century skills and exposure to such exams.
Great. Good to hear that most of us are on this page that schools need to take an active role in developing the fundamentals of the students and the skill sets that they require to go ahead and perform well, for the students to go ahead and perform well. And some of us, of course, think that I see that some of us think that um, schools should not get into test prep. So I hope through the course of this session, we'll be able to discuss more on this and why, how, why not. We'll discuss more about these things, right? Great. So thank you. Thanks for that poll, Rohit. So we'll proceed into the next steps, right? So here, first, as we talk about competitive exams, just to set the context, in a student's life journey, there is first the school education. And school education is, of course, about a holistic development of the student's personality and not just learning particular subjects, right? So it's about building character and intelligence, understanding the fundamentals of the subjects, and then moving ahead. Then we also have, then after school, they go to study graduation. In this graduation, we all dream of getting into reputed colleges. We all think of getting into reputed or good colleges because there are better, say, opportunities, faculty, atmosphere, the peers there, and the exposure there. Everything leads to a better standard of, better, I would say, better placement opportunities, better standard of learning, right? So largely. And it's not that it's mandatory to get into good colleges to do this. It's not, but a good college definitely helps. And then, of course, after that, you take up a job or you take up entrepreneurship or take up a career of your choice, whatever it be. So within all of this, exams, competitive entrance exams, the major ones are after class 12, right? So from their transition to school education to undergraduation, right? So this is the place where we all also operate. So it becomes important for us to focus here. Now, I want to know from you, you can drop your answers on the chat box. What are some of the competitive exams in the country after grade 12, in India especially? Can you name some of the competitive exams that students take? Like JEE and NEET? Can you name some more exams that students take? Yes, CLAT, CUET. Absolutely. NATA, NIFT, CLAT, CUET. Wonderful, wonderful. So I'm just quickly taking you through some of these exams. Of course, you know about most of these. So engineering, there are national level exams, and of course, there are state level exams, and there are private university, private institutions entrance exams as well, like say BITSAT, VIT, and all of them. After that, there is medical entrance exams, and not just medical, there are also paramedical and pharma entrance exams, right? And then coming to CLAT, there are both national level, which is law, CLAT, and then there are state level exams as well. For CA, there is CA Foundation. For defense and government or direct recruitments, there are SSC, Railway Recruitment Board, Staff Selection Commission, or NDA, defense, all of these, right? Now, also, there are these architecture as NATA, as ma'am has covered rightly. Then there is design, which is at NIFT, NID, National Institute of Design's diagnostic aptitude test. And there are All India entrance exam for design. And filmmaking also has an entrance exam, which is the FTII's joint entrance test, right? And National School of Drama also has an entrance exam. So all of these basically, apart from these, there is arts, humanities, hotel management, the National Council for Hotel Management and Catering training, right? Or that also has a joint entrance exam. CUET is across all sciences, maths, arts, humanities, all of these, right? So there are a whole bouquet of competitive exams that the students can take after grade 12 to go to any university of their choice and take up any career of their choice, right? So what's happening otherwise is we'll go and understand what are the common subjects across these. So can anybody tell me across these, of course, each of them tests different skill sets, but there are some common subjects, right? Can you all drop in the chat box the common subjects that are in these exams? Absolutely. Reasoning. English. Correct. Correct. Arithmetic, aptitude. Absolutely. Correct. So, as you all have rightly mentioned, first is the STEM part, right? The science and mathematics arithmetic that is required for a lot of these exams. At least 70% of the exams have basic aptitude, arithmetic, science for all the sciences. All of these are there with NDA, NATA, NEET, all of the exams, CUET, even CA foundation, all of them have problem solving and critical thinking is what they test. And of course, English is there across all the all the entire board, of exams, be it CLAT, be it RRB, be it, and also the exams outside. If the students want to study abroad as well, the IELTS and SATs also have a English component, right? And then, of course, as you mentioned, the logical reasoning, the aptitude, the data interpretation, data analytics, all of that falls into one category, one bucket. A lot of the exams also test on this. So these are the three primary common subjects that are tested in these exams, right? So within these subjects, my question is, they're already taught in school for board exams, right? When they're already taught for the board exams, why should we do anything extra for competitive exams? And should we do anything extra for competitive exams? What do you think? Like, what is the difference between a board exam preparation and competitive exam preparation? What do you think? Anybody in the chat box? So I want to know, so these subjects like English and mathematics and science is already getting covered for board exams in our schools. So do you think anything else is required over and above to prepare for competitive exams? Anybody? Yes, got it. So that's right. According to me, according to the paper as well, if you see both the board paper and competitive exam paper, there is a slew of differences between an board exam and competitive exam, right? So I'll just take it through an example. Okay. How many of y'all are physics teachers here or maths teachers here? Anybody? So Kaustubh sir is saying that competitive exam focus on core questions and concepts, right? Rather than being distracted. And detailed concept-oriented teaching, motivation, and visiting IITs. Absolutely, Padma and Arunachalam ma'am, we've touched upon a very right point. We'll just come to it and discuss this in a couple of minutes. Correct. Maths teachers, they're here. Great to see, sir. So I'm just taking a small example in physics, okay? So in physics, for example, I'll not run through the details of it, but if it's a board exam question, it is asking us to find out the work done by a person. It's given the mass of a box is so much and the force applied is so much, and it gets displaced by this meter. So what is the work, right? So it is an application based question. Of course, they're putting an example and telling how it's applied. And however, it is a little straightforward because they just have to understand the work formula and apply it. There is a complex angle where you introduced which cos theta angle also is involved. So students just have to understand that, apply the right formula, and then come ahead with the answer. But the same topic, if you take work, energy, and power in a competitive exam, right? Now I'm just giving the same question. How will it be tested in a competitive exam? Same work, power, and energy. So the same 10 kg box is pushed with a force of 50. And also the angle is 30 degrees, the same. The box moves by 12 meters, but it was initially at rest. And then its final speed after the force has acted. So now what should be, we have to calculate the final speed. So now the students, in fact, not just work, they have to understand the relation between work and energy, right? The kinetic energy and work theorem. So it is one step beyond. It also involves your critical thinking and really figuring out what is the concept that I need to apply here, what is the question trying to understand. And then we need to solve both for work and then you need to get to the final speed, or velocity also is to be calculated. So the student needs to understand the relation between work, energy, and the speed, all of the three in the same problem, right? So this is slightly more involving more complex angles or critical thinking. So in that way, broadly, right, the difficulty level in boards is comparatively lower to competitive exams. Competitive exams have a higher difficulty level and they focus on more critical thinking and higher order thinking skills, right? So that is one part where they're testing your fundamentals, they're testing your core understanding of the concept, conceptual understanding, how you can relate to out of the box questions. If they ask in any way, you'll need to get to the answer, right? And not just that, they are computer based also. And then there is negative marking. There is a high amount of competition and stress on the students. You all know that at least 20 lakh plus students are taking JEE and NEET. This year, CUET, more than 50 lakh students will be taking. So the number of students that take these exams is very high. So the pressure on the students is already high. And then, of course, the time is also a challenge in competitive exams compared to the board exams, right? There are higher number of questions per minute that you'll have to solve, right? So what are we coming to? What is to be developed for competitive exams, which is one step ahead of boards? What is that skill set that the students have to gain in order to really excel at these exams, right? So I have divided it into three things, right? One is your conceptual clarity, because accuracy is very important here and you need to be very clear with the concept and how to apply it for these competitive exams. So conceptual clarity is extremely important and foremost here. And second, of course, is the speed and time management. Answering speed is very important. And third, but something that often gets missed in a lot of places that our students go to study for competitive exams, is building mental composure, right? How many of you all agree that mental composure is in fact what plays the most important role? Because we will teach the students all the concepts, we will make them practice a lot of mock papers, all of that we will do, but what gets sidelined more, I feel, is the mental composure, right? How to handle that stress, how to in that moment of truth when things are not going well or you may be finding very difficult questions, how do you hold your ground and attempt the paper? In the build up to the exam, how do you remain stress free and handle pressure in the last moment when stakes are very high? How do you present yourself and not, get a panic attack and or spoil your paper, right? That is what a lot of people end up doing. Once a question or one, two, three questions seem very difficult, the entire mindset towards the paper changes and the confidence lowers and we even make small mistakes. Even if it's a very simple question, we end up making small calculation errors or we end up not noticing few things. So that is becoming very common. And so mental composure, building that strength, mental strength, and handling pressure is also a very core skill set that is required for competitive exams, right? So everybody agrees with me on that. Can I get a thumbs up or yes about this quick recipe for competitive exams? Of course, there's no short measured recipe, but these are the three fundamental requirements is what I feel. Yes, great. Of course, yes, Padma ma'am touched upon a very important point. The counseling to parents is very important. Ma'am, we'll come to it in the next couple of slides as well. Bhagwan sir, thanks for the thumbs up. Good to see your participation. So now that these are the things that are very important from a student point of view for competitive exams. All of these skill set is not something the student can gain at a click of a finger or at a switching on just switching on something. It doesn't happen that way, right? It happens with time. There is time involved, gradual step-by-step approach involved, and there is a lot of practice involved to get here, right? If you see sportsmen as well, or anybody, right, for their craft, they wake up every day and they practice their art, their skill, their technique, their game, their craft every single day consistently for a number of years, right? So even competitive exams is the same. It's not like you study the syllabus of a portion or syllabus of an exam or a subject for 1 year and then go and crack it, because it involves higher stakes. Time is required. Time is the only thing that we must invest with the students, because I believe they deserve it. Every student has the capability to crack any of these exams, right? All they need is to understand their own strengths and their areas of improvement and take their time and gradually improve themselves at the pace that they're comfortable with. Otherwise, what happens is if we suddenly put them into the pool in grade 11 and 12, though they have the skill set, they might not have been prepped up and primed for it. And therefore, they just feel like they're not talented, that it is not for them. It lowers their confidence a lot. And that's very detrimental to the student's personality, right? So if we give them that time that they deserve, that resources and that support and mentoring, I believe all the students, of course, are extremely talented and they will find their way and do well in whatever interests them. So how should the schools take up this responsibility of being involved in developing their personality, taking the gradual approach towards developing these skill sets and introducing them to the students? So why should they take up? Because I feel schools are the institutions who are best positioned to cater to all these requirements, because the students spend majority of their time in schools, right? After that, going somewhere else is a burnout, according to me. They have things to play. They should be playing. They should be learning they should be spending time on their hobbies, on resting, on connecting with their friends. So all of these activities are extremely important for a student's holistic development. We can't just take out that time from them and, again, take up any other test prep for them in another place, right? Which is not even integrated. It's two tracks, different teachers, different people giving them different kind of information. So it's very chaotic, in my opinion, right? So I feel schools are best positioned to take competitive exam prep along with board exam prep. It's a marginal 20-30% difference in effort that is required to slowly prepare students for their next 4-5 years and taking up these exams. So why are they best positioned? It's because in the board preparation itself, because the subjects are the same, the syllabus is the same, right? So in only depth may increase and some kind of topics may increase, the rigor might increase, the application might differ. So these are the differences. So when we're already teaching it for boards, we can take up that extra 20% and manage our timetable in a way, I'll come to that, to also integrate competitive exam prep very effectively with board prep, right? Because schools can ensure early and systematic exposure. Suddenly introducing the students to grade 11 will not lead to the same results as introducing them to these concepts, to these careers, and why we should do this, all of that in grade 6, 7, 8, or when they are younger, right? So I feel that the more the practices, the fear comes down. A lot of students face anxiety or fear when it comes to maths or physics or sciences, right? So all of that can come down. So the schools can really play an important part in ensuring that a strong foundation and concepts is set at an early stage when they are just coming to grade 6 and 7, so that they are coming in a very fully prepared way to grade 11, right? Then we can integrate this problem solving, critical thinking, and higher order thinking skills within the curriculum rather than making it an after school effort or a weekend effort, right? We can do it within it. And also, I believe that it's not just a short-term training thing of 11th and 12th competitive exams. Very difficult to crack it only if you begin then. Of course, people who crack it. But for the entire plethora of the student range too, a lot of them need time. A lot of them need coaching in a different way, training in a different way. So for them, it's a continuous learning, which only the school can offer, because we have the set of students from grade 6 to 10 and beyond, right? So it's a consistent effort. It's a conceptual clarity against rote learning. And we can provide a very structured multi-year program to ensure that all the students are going ahead in the right track, fully prepared for the challenges that lie ahead, right? So that is 2. And 3, of course, as I mentioned, only schools can reduce the overall stress and overload that a student might go through. Because if we don't take this up in school, the parents inevitably they put them into some local training centers in their vicinities after school, right? But it's a lot of burnout because they're not able to manage these both. The books are different, the teachers are different, the homeworks are different. There's no time to play, there's no time to hang out with their friends and connect with their family, there's no time for hobbies or rest. So there is inevitable burnout when it's not seamlessly blended within the school itself, right? So these are primary reasons why I feel schools are better positioned to integrate competitive exam preparation with board preparation, right? So, and how they can take up continuous learning, early exposure, and reduction of stress and building mental composure for the students in a multi-year format from 6th to 10th or 12th in a multi-year format. Schools can take this up, right? Any questions in this? I may want to pause for a moment.
Samira, actually, we have a question.
All right.
How to balance both board and competitive exams in 12th grade?
All right. Clearing in how to balance. Okay, Padma ma'am is asking about how to balance both board and competitive exam in grade 12. Yes, ma'am. Great question. So, and clearing NEET and JEE in the first attempt after grade 12. Need guidance. Sure, ma'am. So I'll just come to the second question first because that's smaller and simpler to answer and get away with, get it out of the picture. So first, ma'am, after grade 12, if NEET and JEE are to be cleared in the first attempt, right? And then, of course, balancing both board and competitive exam in class 12, it requires a very meticulous planning. First thing, it comes with very meticulous planning. For example, what we offer is a timetable for this both board and competitive exams. So planning this timetable or the academic calendar or our 6 months, we have to finish the syllabus in 6 months because the next 6 months should be focused on preparation, practice, and these mock exams and these segments. In fact, 8 months is also okay. So in 8 months, we'll have to complete this syllabus and also take up the board prep along with the competitive exam prep. One first thing is to ensure our timetable or the classes and the curriculum is really designed to balance these both at the start of the year, right? Ma'am, if you can connect separately with me, I will also share one of these model timetables that we prepared with you, right? What we did is all the chapters that are required for board and then how are they appearing in the board exams. We have taken that synchronization or that how it should be blended and how many hours to be dedicated for what, how should the teaching be done and how many questions are to be practiced and how, right? So this part we have clearly laid out in one of our timetables and plans. So I will share that with you separately as well. We can discuss on it, on which board your school is following. I need to get some details on these. Which board is your school following? Already have the students prepared something in grade 11 or are they preparing for the first time in grade 12? So I have certain questions. We'll go around that and we'll have a discussion separately with you as well. Right. So Kaustubh sir also is requesting to connect separately. Yes, sir, sure. For our specific school, if you want to discuss the situation and how we need to modify which board you're following, all of that, we can take up a separate conversation as well. So next, of course, for the schools, right, when we take this up, it's not just useful for the students, but of course, we can increase the core capability, have our students succeed in Olympiads and JEE and NEET. It improves our reputation as well. There is higher retention in the school where students might not go out to other schools or other nearby cities for this facility. And of course, all of this results in our school's growth as well. So these are some of the other benefits apart from what I already discussed. Now, the main important section of how to introduce this, we've established that it's very important. Competitive exams are inevitable in India right now. All careers, we need to give some exam and then go ahead. So for these exams, they're highly competitive and very difficult, and the depth of syllabus is very high in 11th and 12th. So early exposure is required. Systemic exposure, multi-year planning is required, right? And we've established both of these, that it's important and that schools can play a very important role here. And instead of leaving students for an after-school program, I feel schools are best positioned to take this up so that there is less load on students and there's holistic preparation and they can actually get results from this kind of planned approach. Now that we've established all these three things, now how can we go ahead and implement this? It's important, we need to do this and schools need to do it. We concluded this, but how, right? How should we implement this program?
Samira,
Yeah,
sorry to interrupt you, but before you go ahead,
yeah.
I would
Can I
just
get
like
the,
to get to know audience's opinion
yeah,
on
this is good.
what is the most effective way a school can integrate competitive exam prep. So I'll just serve a poll for everyone.
Sure.
Yeah, please tell me if you can see the poll on your screen. Everyone, please let us know what is the most effective way you think a school can integrate competitive exam prep. Is it offering an integrated curriculum which blends NCERT with advanced concepts for students? Uh, is it conducting teacher training which is focused on test prep? Is it organizing regular mock tests for students with detailed analysis? All of the above. I'll just end the poll and share the results with you, Samira.
Yeah.
Uh, as you can see, 82% of our audience thinks it is all of the above, a holistic approach to, integrating competitive exam prep in their schools. So that is great to see, actually.
Wonderful, wonderful to see that, of course, we understand all the different elements around this. So that is what I'm going to go ahead with. I'll showcase a step-by-step guide as to how this can be better taken up in schools, right? We also have a step-by-step guide separately, an ebook and all of that. So in case you're interested, please let us know. We'll share that with you. But first, first we have to decide if we want to give this program, this competitive exam program, to everybody, all the students, or any one division or section, right? Because I believe, of course, every student should be given equal access to it. At least in the first, say, 6th, 7th, 8th, they should be given equal opportunity, equal access to these exams. Because just because they may score lesser in board exams, it does not mean that they'll score less in competitive exams, right? Because competitive exams is a more multiple choice and all of that. Board exams is currently half, right? Half all the objective, half of it is subjective. So the different skill sets are tested in both of these exams. So one is not exclusive of the other. But first we need to decide if all the parents will be happy with it, or we can talk to the parents and check with them. What do you think? Do you think your students can enroll? Or we can, as school leaders, also take a decision that no, I want all my students to first get an exposure towards it in, say, 6th, 7th, and then after, once they get that, once we give them 1-2 years to see everything, then from grade 8 onwards we might separate it for one section who are really interested and who want to go ahead with it, whose parents are aligned. Then we can do one division or one section or two sections depending on your strength, right? So this is the first step, right? And also, if you want to do a separate division or separate section for foundation, it it also affects the admission strategy for the next year. You have to take admissions specifically into this section or the regular section, right? Or if you're giving it to everybody, you need to announce that during your admissions as well. So that is the first decision the schools have to make, talking to their students, talking to their parents, talking to their teachers, how and all of that, right? So first decision is to give it to everybody or to give it to few of them who are interested. That's the first thing. Then second thing is, how do we want to run this program? One is to do it within the school hours, right? When I say within the school hours, the maths and science periods of your whatever NCRT you're covering, we'll add competitive test prep layer to it and finish it off within the school hours itself. We'll make the timetable accordingly. However, in case you want to give it a dedicated track, there are a lot of schools who might have already introduced foundation, say last year or before year, and now they are ready to go to the next step of making this a dedicated track. By dedicated track, I mean that it's after school, or if it is within school also, it has dedicated periods only for foundation. There you don't have any other board syllabus to be taught or anything else. It's only for foundation, right? So how much time are we able to allocate for this is the next decision to make, right? So in my opinion, if it's an integrated program, about overall in a week, it is sufficient to give about 9 to 10 periods. But if you have a dedicated track, apart from your board periods, you need to give 6 to 7 periods. So in the first integrated track, you can give together, you can give 9, 10 periods, right? So how much time can the school allocate? This is a ballpark figure. Of course, it depends on the board, school, the way of teaching, all of that. But I'm just giving some ballpark references. So we need to decide that. Then third is to carve out these periods. If you're going with an integrated track, by integrated, I mean both the board and competitive exams are integrated in one book or one track. So there it's sufficient to give 9 to 10 periods, as I said, for theory and practice, and 11th and 12th period for testing, remedial, practice, all of that. So 12 periods are sufficient, both for board and test prep together. But if you're taking a dedicated track separately, apart from the boards, you need to give it about 6 to 7 periods, like daily 1 period. For maths, again, daily 1 period. For science, by the way. This is per subject. So we need to carve out so many periods. Are we ready? Can we do this? Does it make sense to in our timetable? That is what we have to broadly align on. Later, we can, of course, help you in designing that timetable. You can take reference timetables from us and look into it. Then, of course, is to your students and parents are willing. You understood how to implement it within school, after school, how many periods, all of that. Now, the next step is to take up a full stack program. And by full stack, what I mean is a lot of the programs around might offer you the books and some tests, all of that. But it brings up a lot of burden on the teachers or the school to plan the timetable, to give the practice modules, to make the tests, all of that. But a full stack program and foundation is one where not just the books, but along with the books, all the test series are given, the solutions are given, step-by-step solutions are given for the teachers to evaluate quickly. And then exposure is given, career guidance is given to the students. Some digital content, practice modules, all of that online are given. Then teachers are also given support on preparing the timetables, lesson plans, taking it up in the class, some preparatory videos for themselves to prepare as well. All of these features. And of course, some offline visits to the school from an expert foundation team where they can come to your school and help you with implementation, right? So that is a full stack program. That level of involvement is required to make a foundation program successful, because it's a new program. A lot of students and teachers have to adjust to it. The training for the teachers, again, should be on the test prep pedagogy, not the general board level pedagogy, right? So these kind of things, any player that can provide all of this is what you can choose to make it very outcome oriented. Once we close all these loops, all these gaps itself, we can think of getting better learning outcomes. Otherwise, if the teachers are doing a lot of admin tasks, or if they're doing just evaluation all the time, or they are preparing lesson plans, what is the point? They are not focusing on teaching per se, or their test prep pedagogy. They're not focusing on that. Then where will we get the results from, right? So if there is somebody who can take care of all of these activities so that your teachers just focus on motivating the students and teaching their lessons in a very creative way, and develop and focus on each of the student and develop them, if the time is gotten into that, that is very helpful for getting the best outcomes, right? The best outcomes in terms of increased percentages, reduced fear around these exams, increased confidence, better Olympiad results, anything, right? You can set your objective for the school and take it ahead. So that is the most important segment as well. And then, of course, once we choose this, we need to create the objectives. In 1 year, what do I want to achieve? Is it first year I'll just let it go, let it flow. I'll see how it works out with our schools, how our students are grasping it, how our teachers are teaching. I'll see all of that. But in the second year, I want to target Olympiad selections, right? Or in the first year, I want to see X percentage increase in the marks from the beginning of a year exam to end of year exam. So we can set out our objectives like this and create a plan of action, timetables, what should be done on a day in, day out level. And then we can start the session, monitor the program in our dashboards, in the management dashboards, engage with parents on the outcomes, course correct, also orient them as to why this is so important and what kind of atmosphere should they create at home for this to be successful, right? So that is a broad step-by-step guide. If you wish to look at a detailed step-by-step guide with all the collateral, please let us know. We are happy to share this with you. That is about the how to begin implementing it. Right now, in the first section, we've established it's important to do it, and schools play a major role. In the second section, we're coming to how can we begin this program in our school, right? So now that we've started this program, what are the most important things that this, from a student perspective, this is from a school's perspective as to how we should launch and manage this program, right? Now, from a student's perspective, how can the schools help them in acing competitive exams? Anybody? I'll take a pause here and request your thoughts in the chat box. How do you think schools can help students in acing the competitive exams? Absolutely, ma'am. Good point. Self-interest of the student. And ma'am, you asked a question before, is there a need to teach the board portion which is already in NEET syllabus? We don't have to duplicate our effort. If we are already teaching it, because the basics and fundamentals are the same, ma'am, of the subject. If you want to teach photosynthesis, it won't change for NEET versus board. The basics and fundamentals are the same. Over and above it, for competitive exams, we have to build in few additional concepts, some depth of concepts, and then take up high rigor questions, which might test the critical thinking of the student. So once we teach something in NEET, we don't have to teach it again in boards, or in fact, it's opposite. Once we teach something in boards, we don't have to reteach it in NEET, right? So we can focus on the practice part of it, the higher rigor questions, the past year papers. We can focus on those and not take it up again and again. Therefore, I say duplication of effort can be avoided if we really blend and integrate the program very well. That is the most important step in taking up this foundation at school. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks, Padma, ma'am. So I'll now move to how the schools can help students ace competitive exams, right? So, ma'am, as you said, self-interest is extremely important. Intrinsic motivation is what takes the student from the start line to the finish line. However, we as parents, school leaders, and educationists in academics, right, we have the responsibility to also develop this intrinsic motivation in them, right? Intrinsic motivation is from within. How will they know? How will they be motivated to do this? How will they get that self-interest, right? So for that, I believe exposure is one very important way to do this, right? Exposure means, as you said, one great way is to take them to IITs or NITs, or showcase these videos on YouTube in our auditorium in through our AV, right? How are these colleges? What kind of careers or what kind of life do students have here? What do they do after their life at these good institutions? If we show these to students, then ensuring IITians and NITians are actually speaking to them, or doctors in AIIMS, or lawyers who are currently studying in NLU Bangalore, Nalsar, top universities, right? So if people from here are coming and talking to them and sharing their everyday lives with them, if students are taken to these campuses, that is a great way. Exposure is a great way to build this self-interest and intrinsic motivation in students, which lasts longer than just fixing some good tests or good books, right? More than that, this is very important to do in students. So now I am going to cover these. How do we as a school develop this in students in very basic 5 points? One, as I've been reiterating again and again in this session, because I saw a lot of schools implementing it, right? We're working with 200 plus schools only on this foundation part. And I see how schools who are not integrating the curriculum very well kind of struggle with both of them at the end of the day. With boards, how to complete, and foundation, how to complete, and there's some topics that get left out in both, and both are not done effectively, right? So to avoid that problem and to ensure we're getting learning outcomes, it's very important to integrate our curriculum within the timetable. So I'll be very happy to help your school in just integrating this timetable, or if you want to see references, please reach out to us. We'll do that and design your timetable for you. So this curriculum integration, where we are blending our NCERT or the board syllabus along with competitive syllabus, and doing it in the school hours without duplicating the effort. We don't have to teach it again or in another book or in another track, in another period, all that. Without that, how to take a blended multi-year approach, a blended curriculum approach is what is most important, the curriculum integration, because that sets the tone for how students are freely able to grasp both of them, practice well. Teachers also shouldn't feel very confused managing both of these, how peacefully they're doing it. So the smoothness of the program is determined by how well we integrated this curriculum, integrate both of the curriculum, right? So that's the first important point. And next is once we set this timetable, once we finalize the curriculum, it's very important to ensure our teachers are able to pick up test prep pedagogy. Because I believe that why somebody else in coaching centers, why can't our teachers do it? They can absolutely do it. They have the skill set to do it. They just need some trainings or some support externally. So once we give that in a multi-year format as well, gradually, continuously, to be there and do it weekly, all of these, if we take care of it, our teachers will become self-sufficient to take up test prep pedagogy as well, and take up the foundation programs as well. And especially in grade 6, 7, 8, it shouldn't be a problem at all, right? Once we train them, they will be equipped to take this forward. Then next thing I would say is, as I mentioned, the Padma ma'am, you also touched upon it, to orient not just the teachers or to begin the curriculum, start teaching, give the books and tests, not just that, right? We'll need to tell the students and parents, both of them, why this is important. What are the careers out there after class 10 or class 12, right? A lot of the students I interact with, they say engineering, but they don't know, say, who is a computer engineer, what does an engineer do, or who is a civil engineer, who is a chemical engineer. So, right, they don't know all of these things. How is life after being an engineer? What does a metallurgical engineer do at the plants? They don't know these. So these kind of things is what they need exposure towards. A lot of exposure towards the various careers out there, what they do in their day-to-day lives. And then why it is important to plan for these, what exams are needed to get into these colleges and careers. Then what exam portion or syllabus is there, and how can we start preparing ourselves for it. So this back into or a backside view of a backtracking of where do you want to go get to, what are the colleges that will provide all of these, what are the exams that you should take for it, how to crack these exams, where are you standing currently, and what are the areas of improvement in you, what are your strengths, and develop a plan and then take it forward, right? So this entire track to prepare that for students is very important for the schools. And then of course the parents should be fully into this program. They should support the students. They should also know why this is very important, right? So parents also, we need to take up regular engagement with them, to engage with parents, tell them why this is important. Not just that, we need to keep sharing the outcomes also with them every month. What is the progress? Call in your parents and share the program outcomes also with them, the progress also with them, right? So that is a very important softer aspect that if missed can cost a lot of cost a lot in our program implementation, right? Then of course, once we set the curriculum, train our teachers and orient our students and parents, everybody is on the same page, we start teaching with the books. But what is very important is the flywheel we generate. Flywheel is, once we set it in motion, it takes the effects into a multifold results, right? That's a flywheel. But a flywheel, what flywheel is required? The practice, then testing. A lot of the other programs that I'm seeing in the market, right? They directly test the student. But do you know if the student has understood and practiced? We don't know, because they might have practiced at home, they might not have practiced. Some students practice, most don't. So at least one period we should dedicate in our timetable for practice, right? Once the students once the students are practicing that syllabus in our supervision, in the schools and the teacher's supervision, we know that okay, they are at this stage. If any remedial is required, I can take it up. I can analyze where students are mostly going wrong. Should I reteach a small concept again where everybody is probably going wrong? So I need to give the input to get the output. Why are we only focusing always on outputs, that is the test results? That is not important. As important as understanding if you're giving the right input. Are we teaching very well? Are we checking if the student has understood it? Are we doing a practice session in our supervision? And then you test the students and check the outcomes, right? Because without the right inputs, expecting outputs is somewhere there's a gap. So for me, it's critical to supervise the practice and allot a practice session, analyze it, and take any remedial if required, and then go for a test. The fourth step is the test, not the first step, right? So this flywheel is something we should set in motion as school leaders and teachers. Next, of course, as I mentioned, we need to also include some seminars, some sessions, and some one-on-one speaking with students and parents to ensure they don't have any fear for these exams. And if they are scoring less in a mock test, it's okay. It's not end of the world, right? Students should have that confidence in the school that it's not end of the world if they're getting less marks in any one particular exam. It's okay. They have to face that failure and make it a lesson. It's not a failure, right? It's always you either succeed or you learn. So it's important to learn where I went wrong as a student, which chapters didn't I get very well, and then go ahead and re-practice and test again. So this develops some resilience in them, an ability to face failure, be stress-free, and gradually take up practice and every day allot some time and do it. Learn time management, learn emotions management. All of this comes into the mental composure. One thing we are also doing at in fact our team is that we are giving all India exams to 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade students also. Just 2 in the year. We are not giving a lot of them because we don't want any stress on them. But just 2 all India exams. When we give that, students can know where they are standing compared to the whole nation. Otherwise, they stay in a small bubble, which is their own school of 40, 50 students. Their entire world becomes only that. So they need to know what's happening outside as well, right? So once they know students from Jammu and Kashmir or Haryana or Agartala for that matter, or Shillong or Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Gujarat, everywhere, how are the students faring when they know their relative space in this spectrum? It opens their minds to understanding the expanse of this very early in life, right? And that's important because they'll be facing this failure. They might have a setback. They might become upset one day. They might become less confident. But again, there is time, and we are pulling them back into facing it and then learning from it, right? So these are certain steps we are taking to ensure that there are touch points to increase their confidence, to showcase the exposure to them, all of that. So that becomes important from a school's perspective for the students as well. So that's from my side on the how the schools can take this up, right? And what is required. So with this approach, as I mentioned, with our blended approach and giving this exposure, bringing in IITians to give them career guidance, doing this holistic, a multi-pronged approach, we were able to achieve great results. In fact, that's what I want to say, that this approach works because it's been delivering results for us. And we've been growing into 200 plus schools. And also that's just in the last couple of years. And also we are selected to International Math and Science Olympiads, National Science Foundation, all of these. We're seeing some great results. So what I want to take away is this approach of a multi-pronged, ensuring we are working on not just books or tests, but practice, orientation to parents and students, intrinsic motivation, and building exposure and competition, all of that together, and designing our timetable and curriculum very well. All of that will surely deliver results. So that is the belief we have in this system already, right? So before going ahead, I want to just conclude here, because we started probably at 11:10. It's almost 12:05, 12:06. I'll take 4-5 minutes to conclude what I want to say. But in this so far, the two main sections of how schools can launch and implement the program, and two, what do the students really need from our side to ace these exams after 4 to 3 years, right? Whenever they're taking the exam. We've touched upon both of these. So here in these two elements, are there any doubts? Any doubts so far on launching this or implementing this program, and also what are the ingredients required to ensure our students are actually getting the learning outcomes? Any questions or doubts in these two parts?
Samira, Kaustup Prakash has asked, from which class should we ideally start this approach of competitive exams?
Wonderful. Great question, sir. Wonderful question. Very important to think through this. I would not go ahead and say a number like 6, 7, 8, right? I would not say that. But what I would rather say is the students who are 10, 11 in age, right? They're suddenly seeing the world. They are getting into high school. They're taking on more subjects or more stress or more things to do in life, more responsibilities there. When they are doing that, I feel the starting, just when they start out to do that, is where we need to hold their hands, right? Because we will set the tone right from the beginning. Right from the beginning, it's in an integrated way. They're not starting in between somewhere. Right from the beginning, the parents are also aligned to this. They also can have the time to realize, to get into the flow. First of all, there'll be a lot of resistance. They might like it, they might not like it. So we need to give them some time and chance to really understand if this is for them, right? If this, all these subjects, if it's really for them, are they liking it, right? So they need to understand that. We need to give them that time. Do they like it? Do they want to do this in future? Where are they good at? Where are they lagging? We need to give them that time. Once they know that, we can prepare them to take a step ahead and fix these gaps of giving them more practice, giving them more critical thinking problems. And slowly, it is like a muscle. As you know, brain is a muscle, right? It takes time to really become strong, the muscle, and develop. So slowly they'll get into the zone of, okay, this is the way I have to approach it. This is how I have to understand it. And then they'll practice and then they go ahead. In the meantime, they're also building exposure towards why this is important. They'll see the colleges, they'll see the schools, good colleges, they listen to these people. So right from when they're developing, their exposure, their time, their approach, everything is set, and they have the right platform to understand themselves. Self-awareness becomes very important here, right? So we need to give them the time and tools to become self-aware, right? To get awareness about themselves, and then to implement it, and then to see where they're going wrong, and then going ahead and practicing very well. And of course, by the time they reach class 9, 10, 11, 12, which are the critical years, they're able to, they know about themselves. They know if they have to focus on physics or maths, or how much time should they take out. I may be needing to take out 2 hours. You may just need half an hour to get there, right? So they'll understand all these things, and their mental resilience is there. They know this. So then in 9th and 11th, they'll just focus on practicing those problems very well, and that's it. It becomes far more easier to crack the exams. So I would say a younger age, early exposure, multi-year planning, and a systemic exposure is extremely important to do this. So you can take a call if it's grade 6, 7, or 8. But I would say ideally before grade 9 is when they can, before they even begin grade 9. Ideally in that 6, 7, 8 zone is something that will set the right tone for getting the results. So that is my opinion. But what do you think, sir? What is your opinion? Got it, ma'am. I think that's a good point, ma'am. Padma, ma'am. Technology is also very important. Technology comforts, all these panels, right? It's very important to give them visual aids, practice quickers. We have these system where we display the questions to the class in a poll format, and then the students can choose it. And then even for foundation, the visual aids and pictures and GIFs, all of that are given. So yes, that we've seen caused a lot of difference in teaching. So you're right that technology as well plays a very important point. So yes, we've come to the end of the session. So how I want to conclude this is, one, we saw the competitive exam landscape and why it's inevitable for students to take it in India right now. Two, we've seen why early exposure is important to all of these, and starting early, getting a head start is important for getting the right results in this competitive world. Three, we have seen how schools can play a part in this and how they are better positioned to play the best role for students in this space. And four, we've seen how then, now that all of that is established, how to implement it and how to ensure the students are acing the competitive exams. What are those ingredients that need to be given to students, right? So we've seen all of this, and that's it, right? There's nothing else. There's no rocket science to this. That's how we're here to support you as well. If you need, please let us know. But you of course are better positioned as school leaders to have all the experience to do this. That brings to the conclusion of what I wanted to deliver to you. But what I want to leave you with is an alternate perspective about looking at test prep, right? So for me, competitive exam or entrance exam or test prep is not about getting a rank in a college or getting a seat or getting particular numbers or marks. It's not about that. It's that is just a consequence, right? If you study well, okay, you will get it. That's a consequence, but that's not the goal. For me, that's not the objective. So I'd like us as school leaders to shift our perspective into looking at competitive exams not as test prep, but life prep, right? That's what I want to really conclude my talk with, saying that it's a training ground for life. It's not just about getting into a top college or getting a good career. It's a training ground for life. Why do I say that? Because from class 6 or 7 or 8, whenever you decide, right, when you start that, it forms discipline. It gives a habit to the students. A lot of students struggle with forming habits around studying and having discipline, right? So, and excellence is nothing but discipline, consistency, and habit. What differentiates talent and success is that a talented student or talented person might have everything it takes to do there, but only somebody who's able to put in consistent, habitual, disciplined effort is more likely to achieve success, even if he has less talent, right? So the first life skill it gives us is to be disciplined in any of our endeavor, to make it a habit and to pursue it consistently. So that is the first skill set that it develops for life. The second is, of course, the resilience and learning from failure. I'll share a very personal anecdote. In fact, it comes from my own life, is that when I was put into, I'm from Hyderabad, so it has a very big culture of this IIT coaching, right? So when I was in grade 8, I believe, and went there, all it was the first week itself, and all of the students did the problems faster than me, right? And I was so scared, I just didn't want to face it. I thought I was not good for it, and I just came out and said, I told my dad, no, I don't want to do this. This is really not interesting. I think I want to do CA or something else. And I just stopped going there, because a lot of us don't even know how to face that failure. We think that it is something less in us, and we have that fear, right? So maybe if I just gave it time and just practiced it for the next couple of years, if I had that right mentorship around it, maybe things would have been taken a different line of course of career, right? So we can choose whichever career we want. One career is not greater than the other, one college is not greater than the other. But to leave one career only because of fear is something that's not desirable, right? So we'll have to remove this fear from students and instill facing failure and resilience in them. So that is developed from competitive exam prep from a younger age, right? It's just a means to develop all these skills, is what I think. Then, of course, there is time management, pressure management, stress management, um, uh, becoming strong mentally. All of these things are another outcome of developing for or preparing for test prep, right? Preparing for competitive exams. And last but not the least, we all know that the early bird catches the worm, right? That saying is something we've been growing up with hearing. And so the students would realize how doing things last minute is not very sustainable. A lot of the students I see these days do everything last minute. They have a function to attend, they are buying clothes last minute. We want 1 day delivery and 10-minute deliveries. We don't think of it earlier, right? So the way of life is just changing, but planning early is another way of life, which ensures we are planned, we are prepared for all situations, situation A, situation B, plan B, we're prepared for it. We have all the necessary tools. And then we are not facing any shock or upset or anything else later, right? Or missing it later. So this early preparation, and of course, expanding our comfort zone. Board exam might be difficult and it's our comfort zone, but to really challenge our limits and unlock our potential, because every student has the potential to do in one of the other careers, right? To do something great. So to unlock this, to realize it for themselves, to do tougher things in life is again a way of life. To keep choosing tougher and not to just choose the easier way out. Keep choosing tougher things is again a way of life. So all of these skill sets really are a training ground for life, which the schools can set the tone for in their early developmental years. So I would like all of us not just to see competitive exam prep as something that is to get into a certain AIIMS or IITs, but also to give the students all the necessary confidence, tools, and resources to prepare for a very beautiful life ahead, and give them those skill sets in the young age so that they can pursue any career that they want, right, in future. Be it an entrepreneur, be it a filmmaker, be it a designer, whatever it is, be it a teacher, whatever it is, these are skill sets to excellence in any field, right? And only competitive exam prep is developing a critical thinking and all of that anyway. So that's okay. Maths, English are very good skills to have any day. It's not just for a particular JE or NEET, right? So that's what I think. I hope this has been something useful for you all to attend as well. So if you have any questions, we'll keep the floor open. But just to conclude, I would like to say that in case you wish to pursue any of this from us, from our model, we do offer all of these for students and teachers. As I mentioned, it's a full stack program. And in case you want to explore the workbooks or the test series, as I mentioned, it's all India level, even from grade 6. We have digital content of personalization for every student, a lot of teacher support and capability building in terms of test prep pedagogy. Then there are dashboards. We have IITians, NITians, career guidance, parent orientation, teacher orientation, a lot of these things. So in case you want to explore any of these, please do let us know. And lead group as a whole, you would have heard of. We also have not just competitive test prep, but the core board syllabus as well. Because if you take care of the board syllabus very well, of course, it's very sufficient to get to a certain level as well, right? That already takes care of a lot of syllabus and everything for competitive test prep also, right? So we do have all these great books, the TVs and audiovisual systems, activity kits, a whole integrated system available for you in case you want to take it up. So if you want any support, do let us know. At the end, I would say that the last line that I want to leave with is, as school leaders, as teachers, as partners in this journey of education with you, we want to look at students not as a drop in the ocean. There's competition, there's so many students, there's so many competitive exams, but they're not just a drop in the ocean, but they are an entire ocean in one drop. Every child. And every child deserves this. Every child deserves the right tools. So may we all provide this to the students and help them excel in their lives, not just an exam, but entirely life as a whole. So with that, thank you so much for taking out time today. Thank you so much for all the schools present today. And we hope you had an informative knowledge session today, and this was useful for you. And it's time well spent. I hope that is. Thank you so much, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Samira, for such a detailed session. I'm sure the audience have some follow-up questions. So I would request everyone to share your questions in the chat box or the Q&A box. We'll now begin taking questions for 10 minutes. And everybody who wants to connect with Samira, who wants to connect with us to know more about our foundation program, I'll share a form with you in the chat. You can mention on that form that you need more help with Lead Groups Foundation program, and we would certainly reach out to you. Or you guys can reach out to us on WhatsApp or call. I've pasted the phone number as well as our email ID. So please don't hesitate reaching to us. We would love to help you with competitive exam prep in your school. Sabha, yes, you will get a certificate of participation after the webinar.
And some of them are requesting to get the timetable and all of that. So please add in your details in the form, ma'am. I'll reach out to you and share the timetables and all the other useful collateral with you.
Yes. If you have any questions for Samira, you can paste it in the chat box. We'll quickly take questions and end the session.
And I think Trilok sir has asked for which grade is should we start it. So as I mentioned, I would recommend early start, which is grade 6, so that we can set the tone and make a multi-year, 5-year plan. And it's right from the beginning, they are into the zone. However, anywhere between grade 6 to 8, 6 or 7 or 8 is good enough. And grade 9, 10, of course, they should have it 11, so that their so that their base is strong for 11 and 12. So 9, 10 is a definite yes. But between grade 6 to 8 is your choice. I would recommend grade 6.
I think the audience have no other questions.
Great.
So thank you so much for the insightful and fun sessions, Samira. Due to time limit, we'll have to conclude the session here. Like I said, I've shared a form link with the audience in the chat box. Please feel free to fill the form and share your contact details and let us know that you need help from lead group and Samira to implement our foundation program in your school.
Thank
So
you.
thank you so
Thanks
much, Samira.
for the wonderful
Thank
session.
you.
Thanks everybody for joining. Take care. Bye.